Hey everybody, happy Friday. I'm Nate Charles and welcome back to the Rule of Law Brief. Today I want to introduce the newest member of our team here at Charles International Law, Cavi Miller. Cavi brings a tremendous amount of experience with her through strong operational support, institutional knowledge, and professional management. She's also been an important staff member at the Lebanon County Bar Association in Lebanon County, Pennsylvania, which means she understands not only the internal mechanisms of a successful law office, but also the broader professional legal community that surrounds it. People drastically underestimate how important experienced staff members are to the success of a law firm. It's not just lawyers. There are other people involved in this successful law firm whose contributions are just as meaningful. Ultimately, a successful practice depends on people who understand scheduling, case management, client communications, filing systems, court procedures, billing, workflow management, and thousands of operational details that keep everything functioning day to day. That kind of experience is enormously valuable. And one of the things we're most excited about is Cavi helping us continue to improve and modernize our business operations as Charles International Law continues to grow. Because ultimately, every small business, not just law firms, reach a point where growth requires better systems, better infrastructure, and better operational leadership. And speaking of growth as a small business owner, I want to use this announcement to talk about something that almost nobody in politics discusses honestly: healthcare. Because every time a small business like ours hires somebody, there's inevitably a conversation about benefits. And healthcare is usually the biggest part of that conversation. When people hear the phrase universal healthcare or single payer healthcare, they often assume business owners automatically oppose it. That is not true. Honestly, I would argue the exact opposite. Nobody should want universal healthcare more than small business owners. Why? Because under the current system, small businesses are forced to compete against massive corporations on employee healthcare benefits. Large corporations can spread insurance costs across thousands of employees. They can absorb compliance costs. They can negotiate better rates. Small businesses like ours usually cannot. And that creates a massive structural disadvantage. For most small business owners, healthcare costs distort almost every major business decision. They affect hiring. They affect wages. They affect expansion plans. They affect retention. And there's one part of this conversation that almost nobody talks about in the public media: the 50 employee cliff. Yeah, nobody wants universal healthcare more than a small business owner who is trying to become a medium-sized business owner. A lot of small businesses manage to survive and even grow for years without offering full employer-sponsored health insurance. They retain talented people through flexibility, culture, compensation, loyalty, or simply because employees believe in the mission of the company. But once a business gets to 50 employees, the economics can change dramatically. Hiring employee number 51 is no longer about just adding another salary. Now the business owner is potentially taking on healthcare obligations that can amount to thousands and thousands of dollars per employee every year, in some cases approaching $10,000 per employee. For businesses operating on thin margins, that is not a manageable incremental expense. It is a wall. And the result is that many small business owners simply stop growing, not because they lack ambition, not because they lack customers, not because they lack talent, not because they lack great ideas, but because the economics no longer work under the current healthcare structure. So, anytime you hear a politician say they support small business, ask them one simple follow-up question: where do you stand on universal healthcare? Because that is the real test. That is the tattletale. If somebody says they support small business and they also support universal healthcare because it would help small businesses grow and compete, then they're probably on the level. They probably understand the realities that business owners actually face. But if somebody claims to support small businesses while defending employer-dependent healthcare, then what they're really defending is a system that overwhelmingly benefits large corporations, because large corporations can survive those costs. Small businesses like ours might not. The current system suppresses competition. It discourages entrepreneurship. It discourages hiring. And it traps many growing businesses at exactly the point where they should be scaling up. A universal healthcare system would fundamentally change that equation. It would allow small businesses to compete for talent based on the things that really matter: workplace quality, compensation, flexibility, and mission, instead of whether they can absorb massive insurance costs. It would reduce administrative burdens. It would encourage more hiring. It would increase labor mobility. And ironically, it would probably create a much freer and more competitive market than the employer-dependent healthcare system we currently have. So, as we welcome Cavi Miller to Charles International Law and continue building the future of this firm, I also want people to understand that when small business owners talk about healthcare reform, many of us are not speaking theoretically. We're speaking from lived experience. Again, Cavi, welcome to the team. We're incredibly excited to have you here, and we're excited about where the firm is heading next.